Like I said, the reason looking at this one, I've had this giveaway going on for the last week or so, and I had 10 people click on my ad. So this is kind of the reason for this one this morning. And like I said before, a lot of the reason for doing this is because for me to learn just as much. So this one we're going to do together. I haven't even watched all this one. I just kind of skimmed through it a little bit. So we'll see what it says.
Additional $5,000 to $10,000 per month running Facebook ads for real estate agents. I want to show you my simple
below, so make sure to check that out. Okay, let's get into the don'ts. What should you not do with social media? In this video, I'm going to share with you a few social media do's and don'ts when it comes to real estate in 2022. Hey everybody, Katie Lance here, founder and CEO of Katie Lance Consulting, the Get Social Smart Academy, and author of the book Get Social Smart. It's episode 261 of the Get Social Smart show. And in this episode, I'm going to share with you some do's and don'ts for social media for real estate agents. Here's what to do with social media in 2022. I've got my first do. You ready? Show up consistently. Show up consistently and post consistently. This is a small thing that really makes a big difference. Oftentimes I'll go to a real estate agent's Facebook or Instagram page and I'll see one post from yesterday, nothing for a few days, 2 posts on a Saturday, nothing for a couple days, 3 posts on a Sunday. And so the reason why a lot of that happens is because we're not thinking ahead, right? We're kind of thinking in the moment of, I have a new listing, I got to get this posted, oh, this is something fun that happened. And so part of social media is organic. It's in the moment, right? We see a beautiful sunset, we see something funny that happens with our kids and we post it. And that's awesome. But the business part of social media is making sure that we show up on a consistent basis. So get yourself into a routine. I've often talked about the idea of time blocking, and this is one of the small things that really makes a big difference. If you struggle with being consistent with social media, get on your schedule 10 or 15 minutes a day to like, comment, engage with people, and then on a weekly basis, set aside 20 or 30 minutes once a week to think ahead. What's coming up next week that you could schedule? Maybe it's a throwback Thursday, maybe it's a Monday market update, maybe it's a tip Tuesday. By having a few pieces of content in the can, so to speak, it's going to help you show up and be more consistent. And at the end of the day, consistency builds trust. My second big do is create and post video content. I don't care what social media platform we're talking about, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, of course TikTok's all video, but when it comes to content on social media, the best type of content that gets the highest level of engagement, interactions, likes, views, and ultimately turns into the most business is video content. And yes, you don't always have to be on video. That's the good news. Sometimes with video content, you're showcasing things in front of you, like beautiful features of a listing or really some fun things that you can do in your community. But it is really important that at some point you show up on camera. Now, I know for a lot of us, we don't like how we look, we don't like how we sound, we're not sure how to do it, so then we don't do it. And I had a good friend of mine a few years ago tell me, and I know some of you heard this story, but I'm going to repeat it. My dear friend of mine told me, she was like, Katie, that's how you look. And that's how you sound. So you need to get over it. So I will lovingly tell you the same thing. And I bet you there's some of you listening to this who've heard me say this before. So why not let 2022 be the year that you show up on camera? And I'm not talking about showcasing listings, right? Which is obviously that's important for real estate. But I'm talking about showing up and getting on camera and sharing helpful information. What are the questions you get asked all the time? I would imagine there's a lot of questions where you get asked something and you think to yourself, oh my gosh, if I get asked that one more time, guess what? That's a great piece of content. So when we can start thinking about creating some video content that we can post to social media, not only is that helpful, it's going to build engagement, it's going to generate business, but it's also helpful in the long term because you are building a library of content. You're dropping these little digital breadcrumbs, right? And the next time you get an email that says, I'm not really sure what's the process for finding a lender, guess what? You can respond and you can also say, oh, and by the way, I actually did a video about this a couple months ago. Here's a link to that, right? So it only adds to your credibility. So get on camera. Do number 3, take risks. Sometimes with social media, we got to put ourselves out there and we got to try something a little bit new and different. So maybe for you, it's trying Instagram Reels, or maybe it's trying TikTok, or maybe it's dusting off your LinkedIn profile. I often say you don't have to be everywhere, but a lot of times there's opportunities to take risks and to do something a little bit fun and different. One of the ways you can take a risk is to showcase your behind the scenes, and not just showcase what you're doing, but be a little vulnerable. Is there a story you can share? Is there a lesson that you can share? Is there a way to kind of get people, behind the scenes of what it is that you do? Often with social media, we tend to see the best filtered, edited version of ourselves, but I find the creators and the people that I want to follow on social media, they're not afraid to also be real, and again, kind of take us behind the scenes. They're not afraid to take risks. They're not afraid to, kind of have some self-deprecating humor. One of the best ways to be funny on social media, by the way, is to turn the joke on yourself, right? And so that relatability is key. We do business with people we know, like, and trust and relate to. And if you're looking for a great example of this, I actually did an interview a little while back with one of our longtime Get Social Smart Academy members, Eileen Lacerte. And Eileen is crushing it with video, and she is doing some amazing things. She's gotten a ton of business from video, and she's done a really good job of not being all things to all people, not being afraid to show up when it comes to video content. So we're going to link her video here so you can check that out, and then we'll also link it in the description below, so make sure to check that out. Okay, let's get into the don'ts. What should you not do with social media in 2022 if you're in real estate? The first big don't is don't outsource. I know it's really tempting to, hand off your social media to someone else, and we see this a lot of times where real estate agents have just paid someone to do it all for them. And I get it, you're busy, but at the end of the day, don't hand off your social media completely to someone else. Social media is like the ultimate dinner party. Imagine having a dinner party with your 10 most important clients, but instead of you being there, you have your assistant there or a company there running the whole thing. We would never do that, but that's what happens when we just hand off our voice completely to someone else. So as I often say, there's nothing wrong with having an assistant or a video editor or someone on your team to help with some of the pieces of social media, but just make sure you don't hand off your voice completely to someone else. Don't, number 2, don't set it and forget it. Now this sometimes goes along with outsourcing, right? But we don't want to just set it and forget it. And oftentimes when I talk about scheduling, people think that I mean the set it and forget it, and I don't mean that. There's nothing wrong with setting aside time, 20 or 30 minutes a week, to schedule ahead, to think ahead. But what that also means is that you want to make sure that you are responding to comments and notifications. There's nothing worse than seeing a post go up and then, 5 or 6 comments later and it's like crickets, right? Because no one was there to respond. So don't just set it and forget it. I will say you don't have to post every single day. If that feels daunting, guess what? You don't have to do that. In 2022, it's more about quality versus quantity, and consistency, as I said earlier, is the name of the game. So maybe for you, it's posting Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Maybe it's Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. But get yourself into a routine. Don't just set it and forget it. And also, by the way, this is where that personal, kind of in-the-moment content really can make a big difference. So you might schedule a post to go out on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but then you can add in with things that happen in the moment. Maybe you see something funny at a listing. Maybe you see a beautiful sunset or something silly that your cat does. You can share that, and that really helps to build your credibility. It helps to build the know, like, and trust and relatability factor. Don't number 3 is don't just post your listings. I see this a lot still in 2022 where agents are hopping on social media and the only thing in their feed is just listed, under contract, just sold. And that's great. That speaks to your success as a real estate professional, but I know you're more than that, right? And so when it comes to content on social media, promotional content is one piece of social media. So promotional includes your listings, your open houses, testimonials, but it's important to have a well-rounded content strategy, which is why we encourage you to share things that are inspirational or funny, things that are educational or informative. And this is where having a plan really comes into play. Right? So maybe Monday is a Monday market update, maybe Wednesday is Wednesday wisdom, and then maybe Friday is your brand new listing, right? So having that balance of promotional content as well as fun and entertaining, but also educational and informative is the name of the game. All right, if you're listening to this thinking, I need to get a handle on all my social media strategy, I would invite you to check out our free resource library. Go to katielance.com/freebies, katielance.com/freebies to check it out, download our free resources. And if you're watching this over on YouTube, I'd love if you hit the subscribe button and the bell button. We have new videos that come out each and every week. And lastly, I'd love to hear from you. What are your biggest pain points when it comes to social media? What's the biggest thing that you struggle with? I would love to help you. Comment below. I'll be hopping in those comments and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. All right, friends, until next time, we'll see you soon. Bye for now.
Okay, cool. So actually she had some pretty good points there. One thing that I picked up on that I've got a bad habit of, kind of just the opposite. Instead of doing too much specific real estate stuff, I think I do too much of the other stuff, funny stuff or something like that, and then sprinkle in the real estate stuff. So I like what she said about the like Tip Tuesdays, Market Update Monday. I think that's a pretty good idea of sort of doing everything wrong. I feel you. And it's not that you're doing it wrong. I don't think that. I just maybe we need to think of a different way to do it. How about that? But yeah, like the I think I'm gonna start doing something like that, like maybe once or twice a week on a certain day, just do something consistent like that. And then, you know, just because you got to remember, you got to remind everybody that you're in real estate, even though you probably think to yourself, God, I tell everybody all the time, they're probably sick of hearing it. And they probably are, but still seeing it, you know, every once in a while pop up on Facebook, it's kind of like, oh yeah.
And that could be one post that you pull out of command.
Yeah.
A month, a week.
Yeah.
And because scheduling doing that way, that could be one resource that I know I need to start doing.
Yeah. And holidays are easy way to get started on that, like especially in command, because you can like go in for the month and like whatever holidays that month, go ahead and get them on there and get them scheduled. That way you've got, you know, like a consistent real estate style posting. And then like I said, just like, you know, maybe on Sunday nights or whatever, just go through for that week. And then like on a Tip Tuesday or whatever, just find something. And you can do it on command too. You don't have to, I want everybody to know, you don't have to just use the stuff that's on command. You can actually import other things into command, like other, I've used all kinds of different, just pictures and stuff off the internet. I mean, and pretty much made up a whole ad just off a blank. I mean, so you can still do all that stuff with command. And like I said, it doesn't have to be real estate related. I made up a flyer for one of the painters in Bartlesville. It had nothing to do with real estate. It was all his stuff, and I just did it all in command. So I mean, that was pretty cool too. And scheduling from command is pretty easy too.
So was Donna trying to jump in there?
Did you have something, Donna? Yes, sir. And then also she kind of brought up like all of the different like TikTok reels, all that stuff. I've heard from another one. It's okay to like, you know, venture off into other ones, but if you're on Facebook a lot and you're really good at Facebook, stick mainly to Facebook. If you're on TikTok a lot and you're good at TikTok, stick mainly to TikTok, Instagram, whichever it is. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with, you know, venturing off into these other ones, but it's not a good idea to have just a little bit in everything, because I mean it's a little more easy. It's a little easier to be persistent. And
I think Gary and Julie both mentioned this: go deep instead of wide. So
right.
And we talked about that in bold too.
Right.
Yep.
Right. I mean, like I said, and it's okay to like, you know, spread out a little bit, but if you start trying to focus on, okay, I got to put something on TikTok, I got to put something on Instagram, I got to put something on Facebook, then you're going to be spending all your time and not getting any content really. So, and the respond, that's another one that I'm pretty good about, but then, you know, after a day or two or whatever, You might get comments later on that, by that time I pretty much ignore, and I need to get a little bit better about that, just because it's been a day or two. That still may be the first time they're seeing it. So, did anybody else, is there anything else that really stuck with somebody that they either were doing or were not doing, or whatever that?
I think put social media on your calendar and start off with just post, comment, schedule. I think the nice thing I think that stood out is start doing something. Don't
Right.
try to be a pro. Don't try to do it all.
Right.
If you're posting once every 2 weeks, post once a week. And then from there, post twice a week.
Right.
And if you schedule those out, hey, if whatever day I have is my social media scheduling day for the week. Everybody, that can be different. Hey, this day I'm gonna spend 20 minutes or 15 minutes. I'm gonna schedule 2 posts for this week. And then naturally throughout the week, my goal is to just do a natural post 2
Right.
times that week.
Right.
4 posts versus, you were doing 1.
Right.
So you've already quadrupled the amount of activity you have on there.
Exactly.
So to me, I like that part where it's, you gotta do what fits for you and what's best for you, and figure out something that can be consistent.
Yeah.
Not trying to do every new thing that's
Right.
out there.
And more videos. This is one thing I need to work on. I don't do very many like live videos and stuff. It's just, which is kind of weird. I don't really have too much problem doing like the Motivation Monday stuff like this, but like getting on camera on Facebook just really freaks me out. But just being natural, that is one thing I picked up on. I mean,
I have a tip for that actually.
okay.
But you can start doing this with your friends or your family instead of leaving voicemails. Go do a video message. to them.
Oh yeah.
It's a great way to practice and send those back and forth. I do that with a group of guys who we have like a Bible study group that we do that with. And there's other people that, hey, if I want to show a little bit more emotion, it's a good time to practice that.
Right.
And you get more natural and take the ums, uhs, all those things I do in there.
Yeah. That was one thing I was going to say.
Go from there.
Don't try to be perfect. You know what I mean? I think, honestly, I think you get a little bit farther when you kind of stumble over yourself trying to, walk in the front door or whatever, doing a, live walkthrough and that kind of stuff. I like I said, I don't think I'd worry too much about perfection, because I think people need to see that you are human and you're not just, some real estate robot that spouts facts and figures and really doesn't connect with anybody. So I do think that just the natural approach and not having to feel like you have to do everything exactly perfect is a good way of approach. So anybody else have anything? Anybody? Okay, cool. Well, I hope everybody got something out of this. Let's see. I think if I really got anything. Not really anything else I can think of. Well, I hope everybody has a good week. And if you need anything, you know where to find me. And I'll see y'all next Monday.